Hey team, Claire here from My Mortgage, and today I want to talk a little bit about some common questions that we get asked when referring to pre-approval from the banks and essentially how much that they might be willing to lend you for your first home. So I've got a couple of questions here, so I'm going to jump into those now. So the first question is, true or false? Pre-approval guarantees the loan amount that the bank is willing to lend you. This one is actually false when we think about it across the bank policy requirements. So the bank can change their requirements at any time. Generally, they will give you a pre-approval for a certain amount of lending. That might be actually conditional on you finding a property. It might be conditional upon a property you've already found. So there's no guarantee there. You might still need to meet some conditions, and if those conditions can't be met, then there's actually no guarantee they'll lend you the money. However, if you are working with an advisor like us, we'll definitely guide you through those conditions and just make sure that you're still in a position to buy. True or false? Lenders will always require a borrower to get live approval for every property. That's true. So they need to approve the property, and there could be something wrong with it. So potentially, if there's some building issues, there might be some rotten boards somewhere, the floor might have some problems, they might have an unconsented fireplace. There could be a whole host of things for each and every property. So the bank definitely needs to approve that property. And one of the benefits of working with an advisor like us is that we've got a range of approval options. So a lot of different lenders like different types of security or property. So that can actually make a big difference depending on what type of property you're buying. True or false? Trips to Kmart or KFC will affect your ability to purchase a home. So this one now is pretty much false. The banks and the Reserve Bank and the legislation has actually been reviewed. So what we're talking about here is the CCCFA legislation that came into play about 18 months ago, and they've actually reviewed it, made it a little bit less prescriptive, and so these things are called discretionary expenses, and essentially we work with you to kind of establish that budget that you're going to have heading forward when you actually purchase your property. So in essence, your trips to Kmart and KFC, unless you're spending a ridiculously crazy amount of money every month, is probably not going to affect your ability to buy a house, which is a good thing. True or false? You can start house hunting immediately after getting a pre-approval. True. That's the whole point of getting a pre-approval, so you can go out and find a place that you want to buy and that fits in with your budget. So one of the things just to be really careful of is what I mentioned before about the types of properties. Definitely touch base with your advisor or your bank and make sure that the property you're looking at, that you're wanting to make an offer on, is going to fit the requirements that you're pre-approved for. True or false? You need to reapply for finance when your new build property gets code of compliance and title. Now this one is a bit of a hard one. I've said false because in some cases you might have to, but it's not an absolute requirement. So basically this actually depends on how long the property has taken to build. So it might be a 1-year build, it might be a 2-year build, and essentially most banks will give a 6 to 12 month build approval for a turnkey build, which is what we're talking about here, something that's you pay a deposit and then the remainder upon completion. So it just depends as much how much time has actually elapsed between the time that you have signed up the property and you've paid your deposit and the time that you've actually got code of compliance and you're settling. So generally if that's anywhere between 6 and 12 months, you may not need to update your approval. If it's a little bit longer than that, then you possibly may need to provide some updated information to the banks. But generally, it's not a full application. It's just an update to make sure that nothing's changed for you. If something has changed for you, then you actually do need to let the bank know. So that's just, if you've had a change in job or you've gone down to one income or there's been some changes in your overall financial situation. So it's a little bit of a one that we see a lot and we give a lot of advice on. So if you're not sure about your situation or if you've got a build that you need to settle on in the next 6 months or so, feel free to reach out to us and we're more than happy to help. So those are some common questions that we get with pre-approval, and I hope that that's helped you to clarify a few things that you may have been wondering about. But if there is something else that you want to talk to us about, please don't hesitate to get in touch. We're always on the other end of the phone or an email. If you jump onto our website, www.mymortgage.co.nz, you can actually book in a call directly with me, Claire, or one of our other awesome advisors to help make a bit of a plan for you and get you into a position to be making offers on properties.